The sports writers from the Salem News are joining us. Phil Stacy, Nick Giannino, Matt Williams, and Nick Kukaroo, the sports editor of the Gloucester Times. Welcome, men. And here we are, the unofficial summer season right now.
Unofficial. Yeah, after Memorial Day, sure, we can call it summer.
There's the rule there about white pants, right? I don't know
Certainly getting warmer out, I'll tell you that.
We got the white pants, yeah. I mean, those were the days.
Yeah,
those were the days.
Exactly what the rule is, but hopefully by football season you're allowed to wear white pants, right? That's always a good look. I like the white pants, so
we'll check with Sean Stellato on that. He's the fashion expert.
Good point.
Yeah. The white pants. I think you can do it now if you had some. I used to have some white pants. Yeah.
Probably don't want to be getting fashion advice from a guy wearing a tie-dye T-shirt. So
I can imagine all the equipment directors. They must love these new turf fields. They don't get to clean the mud off anymore. You probably used to refuse to buy white pants because they got too muddy, and now maybe they'll make a comeback, those white pants, because there's no mud. So that was a tangent.
You think they ever have to clean up those like tiny little shreds of, I don't even know what you'd call it, grass? It's not grass, I suppose, but sometimes it'll kick up when a kid's running or whatever.
The pellets. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they ever have to go over the turf with something to clean those up?
Oh yeah. It's like a tilling thing. Like you drive over it and there's like an attachment that goes on the back of the tractor and it like spins like this and kind of, tilling, I guess, is the best way to describe it. I mean, I've had, our old desk in Beverly, coming back from some football games, I'd sit down and when I got up after writing my story, coming out of my sneakers, it'd be a whole pile of those pellets sitting under the desk, which, I guess is a lot easier to clean up than mud, but,
So it's kind of like a reverse Zamboni. Instead of putting on the surface, it takes off the surface.
Yeah, kind of. I think it just kind of shakes it up and, Zamboni-ish, kind of thing.
Or maybe the way they collect golf balls at the driving ranges with those big carts,
Could be.
I used to drive one of those back when I worked at Black Swan.
I would have tried to hit you if that was the case.
Everyone tries to hit you on the range. It's like you got the cage, so
you just get used to hearing the sound and all, clanging off you.
Yeah.
How many times before you stop flinching, though?
A couple days for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when I was, hitting at the range, I would always try and hit those carts. So
yeah.
I don't blame them,
No offense.
It's like being near the ice at a hockey game and flinching when the puck goes off it, or if you're at a baseball game behind the netting and the ball goes off it, there's still a inclination to flinch.
I still flinch with the netting there in baseball.
Well, as we continue our discussion of motorized equipment at sporting events, Phil, have you ever ridden a Zamboni or driven a Zamboni or, operated a Zamboni?
You know what?
Matt, you're a hockey guy. Nick, Kukaroo? No?
That's a good question. That honestly is probably one of the few things I haven't done at the rink.
I mean, it is funny in a sport, though, like you could be a terrific hockey player, but I bet there are a lot of great hockey players that have never driven a Zamboni.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to drive one. I'd be petrified to drive it into the boards or something.
It's kind of a specialty craft, isn't it? I mean, it's not easy to do that the same way every time.
No, maybe if I asked my buddy Jay at Endicott or Johnny O'Neill over at Salem State, maybe we could get a ride on one day, but never really thought about it too much. I figured when we get down to Cook's neck of the woods in Gloucester, and Bill, I don't know if you know, like where at least Nick and I usually watch games from there at the tank. You're like high up, you're elevated between the two benches.
No, I know that area. Yeah.
Kind of underneath the scoreboard. And that's a haven for flying pucks that come out of the rink surface. So you got to keep an eye out for things over there. Actually, you know what? There's a topic that we could discuss. Have you ever been hit and or hurt in the line of duty? Hit by a foul ball or,
a foul ball off the face one year at Nate Ross. I was up the first baseline and they put up a pinch hitter and I looked down at my roster to write the pinch hitter's name in and the ball hit the yellow protective stuff on the top of the fence, which was probably about chest high
Yeah.
for me, right where I was standing. I didn't even look up. I had no, I didn't even see it coming. My face would have been broken.
No kidding, really.
I did stop a foul ball once at North Reading, a playoff game. I think I saved a woman's life. But never got hit.
I did
know
something
I
similar
had
to that. I was going to say I'd done something similar, Nick. When I was still a what they called at the time a stringer. So I wasn't 40 hours a week yet. So I was probably 21, 22. Watching a Little League All-Star game in Peabody at Willie's at the James Street Park that's over by the police station.
Yeah.
The one, yeah. And Nelson, the late Nelson Benton, of course, the legendary editorial page editor at the Salem News, was in the stands near me, and he was talking to another spectator there, woman, and he wasn't paying attention, and a foul ball went screaming over the field, and it would have hit him, I'm pretty sure, right in the head, but I reached out and caught it before, and he never even knew what happened. All these people were like, oh, well, he turned around and said, well, what happened? I said, well, I just saved your life, You can hire me now full time if you want. So
You guys are real heroes. I'm impressed. Yeah.
Cat-like reflexes.
Yeah.
I went down last year too, and I got involved in a tackle, and I was on a football game. I didn't physically make the tackle, but I was a little too close to the sidelines. I like to walk the sidelines like Willie during games, and no problem being close to the action, but I didn't quite move quick enough out of the way of a sideline play last year, and I as the boys the tackle was made, the hit was made, and they rolled out of bounds, I kind of got caught up in that and went down with them. So no harm, no foul. Everything worked out all right. But
did you get the stats right? Did you get the yardage right on the play?
I did, and I also found out that one of the kids' parents was a lawyer, and I all of a sudden started limping. So, just to show that I had been hit.
I don't know if that works for your advantage or against you. I'm not quite sure. I'm not.
That's a good question. I suppose if I was an ambulance chase, I would have stayed down. But like Nick said, there's only 25 seconds between plays. I had to get ready for the next play. So.
I know my partner at the time, Tim Kearns, took a foul ball back in Danvers, in that booth in Danvers in baseball, to the head. That was painful to watch.
Got a big melon.
Unfortunately, I couldn't. I don't think I wasn't much ahead of him on seeing the foul back. I think I was, but it was a quick foul back, and it was tough to watch. Trust me, but he's okay, so that's the good news, right? Yeah. So, man,
seen some fans get hit. That's not pleasant.
Yeah.
And you feel bad for them. You don't go to a ball game or whatever event you're at thinking that you're going to get skulled, but it does happen, and you do have to pay attention. I will say that one of the funniest, if that's the right word to use, incidents like this I've ever seen. I think this was my first or second year on the job when I was still being sent to cover basketball pretty regularly. And ball bounced off the court, Salem High School. There was some, students talking, and there was a student who had her back turned to the court. And someone said, look out, and the ball was bouncing towards her, just bow, bow, bow. And she looked up, hit her in the face, and she fell face forward onto the court. No harm, no foul. She was okay, but it was kind of funny to see that, like, somebody getting injured by a basketball like that you wouldn't think of. So I was immature. I laughed.
Reminds me of the late great Pep Cornacchio on the sidelines at Salem. In his God, I don't know how old he was. Must have been in his 70s anyway, and still standing on the sideline, still standing right at the chains, and like, guys would run towards him, and the guy wouldn't even flinch, and you'd always wonder, like, geez, like, I hope none of these guys ever run over Pep, but they never did, and I'm sure if they did, they would have been the ones going down.
Those guys would have some great stories, I bet. Guys in the chain gang for stuff like that.
Yeah, you gotta have the ballet feet to get out of the way sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I've been down on the sidelines with you guys a number of times, and it can be it's a different. You got to pay attention down there for put some space out there between you and the sideline, so to speak. Yeah,
You see the game differently from that level too. I
yeah,
feel like, there's obviously advantages to being up above where you can see the whole field and whatnot, but you also get a truer sense of the game. I feel like from down on the sidelines where you're right in the thick of it. I mean, virtually every coach we deal with at the football level doesn't care if we're walking the sidelines, as long as we're not interfering with anything, which why would we? Some of the officials do, at least the officials who don't know you, maybe give you a little bit of a hard time, but whatever. You just kind of stay out of the way and do your job and it works out good. I mean, Willie and I have talked about it. We enjoy, when you hear things down in the field that you wouldn't necessarily hear up in the booth, things like that.
but you do bring out a good point about the perspective is that whether you're courtside in a basketball game or even right on the right at the bench in hockey, or as you mentioned on the sidelines in football, that I mean, it's a great experience to feel what what it's like down there, no matter what level you want to watch later on. In other words, you don't get that feel watching the NFL on Sunday or college football on TV. It's just a different take, or watching the same game in the high school stands, just up behind you there ways. It does look a little bit different for sure when you're up close like that.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to sit in scorer's box this winter for a Danvers Masconomet hockey game over at the Essex Sports Center. And I want to say there were like 24 penalties in that game. So I had a lot of company, seeing as how the penalty boxes were right next to open penalty boxes, at least in terms of where I was situated. And, with some of the matching penalties, you hear guys going back and forth and you're in the middle of it and you smirk or whatever. But yeah, it's a completely different point of view from just when you're at the level of where the action is going on, and you're right up close to it. I mean, Will, you remember when it was 10 years ago now, we were on ice level at Fenway when Marblehead and Winthrop played that game, and that still is an unbelievable memory to me, not just because the game was at Fenway, but because you're right there at ice level and you're hearing the line changes being made and you can hear the players on the ice and the blades cutting through the surface and things like that.
Yeah, different. Yeah, very nice. Very cold, but very nice.
Hey, so what's ahead in the newspapers this week, gentlemen? You have Athletes of the Year coming up, Phil. Did I hear that in the next week or so?
We have our Student Athlete of the Year. It's a program we've had for close to 60 years now. And certainly, with the coronavirus pandemic, it's a little bit different than we've had it in the past, but we're still doing it, which I'm very happy about. Normally, this is something we give out first week, I should say, of April. Now, obviously, it'll be the first week of June. So basically what it is we have each of the schools in our readership area nominate who they feel would be their best representative as a student athlete of the year, combining academics, athletics, community service, leadership roles, things of that nature. This year we added a new school for the first time in Salem Academy. So there's 15 schools now, which would be Beverly, Danvers, Peabody, Salem, Marblehead, Swampscott, Ipswich, Hamilton, Masconomet, St. John's Prep, Pingree, Bishop, Fenwick, Essex Tech, and Manchester Essex, along with Salem Academy. So we have 15 nominees. We get all kinds of scholastic records, recommendations from their coaches and teachers, things like that, principals. And we will write stories about each of the 15. We've been profiling those in the newspaper for the last 3 weeks or so. We have them write a little bit about themselves and a personality profile that we accompany with the writing package. I've been conducting Zoom videos with each of the student athlete candidates just to get a glimpse into what their world is like in a COVID-19 world and how things have gone for all these seniors who I'm missing out on all the things that come with the end of your high school careers. And this will all be wrapped up a week from today, next Friday. So we won't be doing this next Friday. At least I won't be doing this next Friday. Where myself and 4 judges that we've got to come on board with us will interview each of the students. Normally we do this in person. Obviously we're not doing that now, so we're having Zoom meetings throughout the day next Friday to get a better glimpse of each of these kids. Once we interview all 15, we'll convene again by Zoom and try to pick a winner. Not try, but we will. And it's very difficult when you have 15 excellent candidates, and even narrowing it down from that can be difficult. So you can imagine what it's like to try and pick one that best represents, that particular year. Haven't talked to all but one of the kids this year already. I know that there are some terrific candidates, some great stories from these kids. They have a good perspective on life, even in these difficult situations. So I'm excited to interview them along with our other judges. If I can mention those guys, we have Brian Wiley from over Director of Athletics over at Endicott College. I have Amy Latimer of Topsfield. She's the president of TD Garden. Has sent her boys through Pingree and got to know Amy's family a little bit. Have Dan Vasallo, the great runner from Peabody, was in the Olympic trials recently. And we have Joe Riley, who heads up Salem 5 Cent Savings Bank, Salem 5, and they sponsor the student athlete banquet. So we certainly thank Salem 5 for what they do. So what we'll do, the 5 of us will interview each of these kids. We'll determine a winner. I will let Nick Giannino know who the winner is. And he will write a story that'll appear in Monday's newspaper and online. And because it's not the banquet we normally have where we'd get all the families together for dinner and, we have a big production, we have a guest speaker, and then we announce the winner at the end of the night. We'll be announcing it on Friday this year, but we won't be alerting the winner until Sunday night to kind of keep it a secret over the weekend. So that's it. Boy, look, I talked for about 25 minutes there, but
Hey, covered it all.
I think I got it all there. Yeah. Last year's winner was, Chris Master, Essex Tech was last year's winner. So there'll be a new champion this year, and congratulations to all the 15 student athletes that are in the running.
Have any of you guys, in talking to the athletes this spring, have any of them said anything kind of unique or interesting about handling, not having sports this in the springtime? I've talked to a few. I haven't had anything special. I've heard this really blank, is not great, kind of a comment from kids. And I get that. That's fine. But, that anything unique that you've heard from anybody?
I got something kind of cool. I wrote this story. It's in today's paper, actually. She's a junior at Peabody. Her name's Amber Kirakopoulos. Is that how you pronounce it? Kirakopoulos. Plays soccer, basketball, and lacrosse at Peabody. So she was trying to figure out something to do during this time, and for a number of reasons, mental health is, very prominent in her life. I think it runs in her family, and she knows people that struggle with different mental health illnesses. So she decided to start a fundraiser. Originally, I think she said, I wanted to try and raise just a couple $100, but it really took off. I think she's up to close to $3,000 now. She set a new goal of $7,000, and they're going to be hosting a fundraiser to further help this cause at her place of work in Peabody. It's called Doughie's. It's an ice cream shop. I'm not sure if any of you guys have been there before, but I hadn't heard of it. But Doughie's, it's an ice cream shop in Peabody. They're going to donate 20% of all profits made this coming Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to Mental Health America to help Amber with her fundraiser. So that's something cool that she's doing. She was very passionate about it when I spoke with her. And, if anyone wants to get some ice cream and lives in the area, head on over to Doughie's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you'll be contributing to a good cause.
You got to do it, right? It's for a good cause. You got to grab some ice cream. Yeah, you know.
I seen something pretty unique too. Actually, had in today's paper. It was nice. Over in Rockport, it's a little easier there. Their girls softball team only had 2 seniors, but they had a little drive-through senior day ceremony for them on their coach's front lawn earlier this week, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
So, yeah, I guess it's a little easier for Rockport to do because they're so small. But it was still nice to see the 2 kids, get honored. All the teammates were kind of driving by the street with signs, beeping their horns. It was nice.
That's pretty cool. They did that. It's not just Rockport. I mean, Salem High only had 1 senior on the baseball team, and they did that for him too.
Nice.
So, a couple of junior captains brought him his banner that they would have hung it, at the Cove and everything. So it's pretty cool. It's not just the small towns have small classes. I don't know, something about this class. There weren't many senior boys in Salem in any sport, and Masconomet, our old buddy Hector, he only had 1 girl senior on the softball team too.
That's right. He did. I think it's been nice what schools have been doing about getting out and delivering signs for kids' lawns. Whether it's in Bishop Fenwick or Peabody, Beverly, Danvers. How about the guys at St. John's Prep they went over like 1,000 miles, going to 64 different communities, delivering signs or something like that. Like it's pretty wild.
I thought it was in the 70s, the number of communities. I don't know. I always thought it was 75 communities.
That was the old Bill Kaporis line, of course they should beat Peabody in football. They draw kids from 58 communities, and it's funny. I never forgot that. So when I saw that number, I was like, oh, it's actually more than that, Kippy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of communities there for sure. Yeah.
I talked to a gentleman. Now this guy was really, really interesting. He lives in Beverly. His name is Tom Whalen. Okay. He is a historian and a professor at Boston University. But he also has written 3 sports books. And the latest one is on the Big Bad Bruins from, the 70s of Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito. I think it's called Kooks and Degenerates on Ice. And if you happen to see the program they had on the NHL Network early this month about the 50th anniversary of the Big Bad Bruins winning the Cup and, Orr scoring the goal and all, it kind of tied in nicely with that. Well, anyway, in the course of our conversation, he tells me, hey, I used to work at the Salem News in the sports department in the mid 1980s. Did you know Bill Kaporis? I said, yeah, I knew Bill Kaporis, sure. Bill hired me. And he says, Bill was interesting, wasn't he? I said, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it there, So it's funny how, Bill, who's, of course, has been gone, what now, Willie? 4 years, 4.5 years? Can't even remember now. More than that?
I don't. It's been a while. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember.
Bill certainly left his mark on people who knew him. People didn't forget Bill. I guess in the same way, Nick, as your grandfather, people who knew Doc, certainly remembered him and the impact that he left on people's lives with all the stories he wrote and things like that. So Kipper always left his mark with people that he met.
He did. Gentlemen, we have just a couple of minutes left. I don't know if anybody wants to sound off at all on the what's happening with the pro sports, but we have about 2 minutes left, I'm thinking.
I tell you, I like it. It doesn't bother me. I mean, some people are upset about the extra teams or whatever, but I say it's the apocalypse. Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to spill any milk over it. Let them play. Who cares?
Now, did they decide for the hockey which format they're going with yet? I know basketball hasn't decided yet.
Yeah.
What are they doing? The 4 playing games and then the rest of it?
Yeah, so it'll be 24, and then it'll be the play-in to get down to 16, and then as normal from there.
Okay.
They're keeping it by conference. Like I know Hoop was talking about, putting them all in one bowl and seeding them 1 through 16 instead of doing East and West, which I don't know, maybe that makes sense. I don't know.
That'd be terrible
Yeah.
for the Celtics.
Yeah, I think the way it works out, they play the same team either way. But
Would Philly. I think it would be either way.
probably wouldn't. They'd be better. They'd have a better chance of getting to the finals out of the East. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
I'm just excited that, you know, there's promise now. But-
maybe. I mean, I thought it was early July, but now they're saying August, so it just keeps getting moved back. But I mean, I don't know. Like, just the people are mad about the Canadians, the Rangers, stuff like that. The Blackhawks. It just doesn't really bug me, you know, because I mean, the Bruins are getting a bye anyway, and
Right.
you know, it's the apocalypse, so they got to do what they got to do. Like, I'm not gonna fault them for you know, thinking a little bit outside the box, considering everything that's happening. You know.
What I think is interesting is that, you know, I get 100 or so odd emails a day, and I get a couple of Vegas type emails, not solicited, but they come to me. And, you know, odds on this, odds on that. And I noticed they laid out all the odds for the Stanley Cup the other day by team. And the best odds you could take is that the Stanley Cup won't be awarded this year, which makes me think like, okay, those Vegas wise guys. It was 3-1 odds if you wanted to say that there would be no Stanley Cup playoffs held or awarded, and then the Bruins were like 7 or 8 to 1 is the best odds or whatever. So take that for what it's
Hard
worth.
to predict.
Well, you can always bet on these guys, the Salem News guys here.
Oh,
Bill Stacy,
good segue.
Nick Giannino, Matt Williams, and of course Nick Kukaru up there at the with the Gloucester Times, sports editor of the Gloucester Times. Gentlemen, thank you. Thanks for doing this, and good to see you again.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate
Stay
it.
isolated. And
All
I'm
right.
Bill Newell with MSONewsports.com.